Scams in the debt industry are nothing new. Scams have been around since long before I was in the business, and they will continue long after I'm no longer in the business. And I mean, even yesterday, I saw a guy, poor guy, I felt terrible for him, who was scammed. It was one of these online, I won't go into the details of it, but it was something that would show him he could make money and help people out at the same time, and it would be good for him, and blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, he's 30,000 bucks in the hole. And you may say, how do people fall for these things? You know what? Something I've learned, everyone gets scammed at some point in their life. The only question is to what degree. I was scammed when I was younger on what I thought was a good summer job, just turned out to be a load of crap. Thank goodness I got out of that in one day. Though it helped that the person next to me was even more skeptical than I was and helped me see the light. So thank you to that person. But there is one scam right now in my industry that I am seeing constantly. The first time I ever saw at least a version of it was late 2018, early 2019, I believe. Can't remember exactly, but it has just exploded, and I'm now seeing this once a month, which doesn't sound like much, but for scams, it is. Okay, scams, you're not supposed to see them constantly. They're supposed to spring up kind of out of nowhere and then fade away. The scam is this. Somebody wishes to buy a house. Let's say that house is $800,000, which in the GTA is known as cheap. Okay, so $800,000 house, and they, lo and behold, they have managed to scrape together 40,000 bucks. Terrific. Why 40,000? Well, you need 5% down at least to purchase a home. Terrific. Now, already, if you know anything about real estate and you know anything about purchasing houses, you know that 5% is not the end of the story. 5% is one of the qualifiers. But if somebody comes up with 5% down, in this case, that's 40,000 bucks, forget about CMHC for a second, forget about everything else. They're going to have a mortgage of 760. Okay, you still have to qualify for that 760. Do you have enough income to satisfy the gross debt servicing and the total debt servicing targets for the mortgage you are about to acquire? For 760, especially these days, as of August 2023, most people don't make enough money for that. You got to make a considerable amount of money. So that's the first problem. Anyways, these people come up with the 40 and they are told by their realtor that, hey, everything's cool. You got your 5%, and maybe they set them up with a mortgage agent. You're pre-approved. Everything's cool. Everything's great. Closing date is in 2 months. Terrific. We're going to own a house. Around a week before the house closes, a phone call or the phone rings, and it's your panic-stricken realtor saying, oh my God, you don't qualify. What? I thought this was all taken care of. You don't qualify. You can't get your mortgage. You're in trouble. You need more money. You need to put more money down. And you say, well, how did this happen? I don't know what happened, but you don't qualify. The bank's not happy. They're threatening to, destroy the entire deal. And you've got a problem at this point. Not only are you looking forward to moving into what is most likely your first home, and something you've been dreaming about since, you were either younger or you got to Canada, because most of my clients are not from here. But you've got a problem because you've already made a deposit and you're on the hook and you've signed a contract. And if you don't follow through, not only do you lose your deposit, as I reach for my coffee, you can get sued for not closing on the deal, for reneging on the deal. What are you going to do? Well, have no fear. Your realtor, your lovely, lovely realtor, and their lovely, lovely friends have a solution for you. Turns out the bank said that if you want that house, if you want to qualify, 40,000 isn't enough. You're going to need to put down 300,000. How are you going to? You don't have 300,000. That's insane. Have no fear. The realtor has a friend who can set you up with a loan of 260,000, or, as I'm starting to see more of, maybe it's 160,000, and the realtor, him or herself, will loan you the rest because they're such good people. So what do? You're a novice at this. You want the house. You don't want to lose your security deposit. You don't want to get sued. You say, okay. So now you own an $800,000 house. You put your own 40 down. That's terrific. But you have a mortgage for, well, let's see. You have a mortgage for $460,000. You have a second mortgage for $300,000. Okay, did I screw that up? I forget my numbers now. Whatever it was, everything's up to $760, but you have a first and a second and possibly a third. Sorry guys, I winged these. Okay, I wasn't writing anything down. I probably mixed up the 60 and the 300, but it doesn't matter. You see where I'm going with this. The person who now owns this house, first of all, does not own a house. They own 2 mortgages, possibly 3. They also have a payment that they cannot possibly manage. Now you may say, why would someone loan them this money? Like what's, whoops, we're having a great time today. What's in it for these lenders? Why would they lend someone money that can't possibly be paid back? Well, here's the plan, okay? As you probably know, up until recently, for the last quarter century or so, Toronto real estate did this. Yeah, there were a couple of hiccups along the way, but the trend was very clear, okay? They know that these people want the house, and they know that they are going to do everything in their power to try to make those payments for as long as they can. What happens? These people get second, sometimes third jobs. I've seen it, okay? You have the husband and the wife literally working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I've seen it with my own eyes, just to make mortgage payments. But these guys also know that that probably won't last. What they're also banking on is either way they win. Think about it. If the people who took the mortgages, if the owners continue to pay the mortgage, terrific. The second mortgage is interest only. The third mortgage is interest only. They get paid. And when it comes due, they're either going to try to, when those mortgages come due and the first mortgage comes due, the owners are either going to try to wrap everything into one mortgage, in which case the second mortgage company and the third mortgage will get paid, or they won't be able to pay everything off with the new first mortgage, in which case they'll just have to renew the mortgage. And you may say, okay, so they win that way, but what if the people can't pay anymore? Glad you asked. If that doesn't happen, guess what the second and third mortgage guys do? They foreclose. If they have deep pockets, which many of these guys do, what they'll actually do is they'll pay out the first mortgage. Now what have they done? Well, they just paid out the first. The second is their own money. And same thing with the third. They just bought your house for much less money because they're also banking on the fact that your house has appreciated. If you've been struggling to make payments and pushing yourself and working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for 2 years, chances are in the Toronto real estate market, the price has gone up. So they just bought your house for cheaper than you bought it for, and now they're going to turn around and sell it at a profit. There's a special place in hell for these people. Now, fortunately, if your blood isn't boiling already, and it should be, assuming I did a good enough job of explaining the scam, let me give you a happier ending here, okay? There's 2 endings here that are happier, okay? The first is this scam isn't going to work so well anymore, because guess what's happened to Toronto real estate? It hasn't fallen off a cliff, but it's no longer doing this. It's kind of doing one of these, okay? And depending on where the house is located, if you bought a house a year ago, it's probably stayed the same or even gone down in price. In other words, if you're a second mortgager, let's take this example again, $800,000, the people can only borrow, $400, they put down $40 themselves. Well, that leaves, that leaves $360,000 left. If the price goes down, these second and third mortgage guys, they have a problem. How are they going to do their little scam? Because if the owner of the house can't keep up with the payments and has to walk away, as is the case with someone I met last night, well, that person can take care of their debts through a bankruptcy or through a proposal, and that's exactly what we're going to do. It sucks. They're going to lose their house, but I'm going to show them how to live there, mortgage-free for about 3 to 6 months. That'll be nice. and they're going to save up money, and they're going to find a place to rent. It sucks, but at least they'll be better off, and they won't have to work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. But what's going to happen to the mortgage, the second mortgage and the third mortgage guy, the realtor? Well, they got a problem, because that house is not even going to sell for what they purchased it for. Meaning, if they walk away and they stop paying the first mortgage, well, the first mortgage is going to do everything he can to get his money, and he's going to jack up the lawyer fees, and he's going to jack up the realtor fees, and he's going to jack up everything because he's covered by CMHC. What does he care? That's going to leave less money for the second and third mortgage. In other words, they got a problem, and it serves them right. It's delicious. It's wonderful. There are a few things in this world that are nicer than seeing some piece of shit con artist get their own, I'll tell you. So that's the happy ending there. They will get to suffer. The other happy ending is it's not totally happy, but at least the clients, in this case the homeowners, can get on with their lives and they can shed the debt. What does this all come down to? This is one hell of a scam, and it works primarily because people want houses badly. And I understand wanting to own a house. Okay, I own a house, and I've often said, despite the fact I've done all right in my life, the main reason I own a house is I was born in the 70s. Okay, had I been born 8 years later, 9 years later, would have been pretty tough. I would have been caught in the trap. I managed to buy a house when it was just expensive instead of ridiculously expensive. So people will do anything, and unfortunately, they don't know a lot about the, what's involved. They're told, well, you need a good credit score, 680 or more, and you need to come up with 5%. There's more than that. You have to qualify for the mortgage. And if your realtor is a piece of garbage, and the mortgage company is a piece of garbage, and the lenders are pieces of garbage, and they're just looking to sell you out so they can sell you out, you got a problem here. Moral of the story, you want to try to deal with reputable people. Okay, I know self-praise is no honor, but it's true. But you also need to understand the math, okay? What does it look up? What does it take to qualify for a mortgage? Look up GDS and TDS. I'm going to run out of time here. So I wanted to let everyone know about the scam. I wanted people to know that it's becoming more and more prevalent. I want you to know there is a way out for the homeowners, okay? And you lose the house, but there's a way to at least ensure you have money and are able to find a new place, and you can build up again to try to pay everything off later on, especially if the first mortgage gets paid out completely. But for the scammers out there, up yours. Have a nice day.